Vikings fans, you are listening to the Purple People podcast. I'm Kyle West. I got Adam Carlson.
I'm right here.
I got Kyle Smith.
Beebity boobity.
We got loads of Vikings football to talk about.
I'm not sure I'd say loads, but we got some.
We got stuff. We got Jeff Locke. So it's a full show. We're talking
we got
about
lots
punter.
of not football stuff to talk about too, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
This is episode number 160 of the Purple People podcast. This one's titled Van Childer. Don't know if you watched the Van Wilder movies. It stars some guy that's in a superhero movie coming up, I think.
Deadpool. Yeah. I have Van...
Hopefully.
Here is a weird piece of trivia that no one needs to know. I have Van Wilder on a UMD disc. Anyone remember UMD?
UMD, I do not.
Adam?
Yeah, but I didn't have a PSP, so.
Yeah, I can watch Van Wilder on my PSP.
But I used to watch him on a little show called Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Holy sh...
Before he made it really big, and that show was not very good.
I've never heard of it.
Well,
Probably on Netflix.
They lost the Pizza Place, so then they changed the title of the show to Two Guys and a Girl. It was just awkward. It never really worked out very well. But let's talk about football instead. Because I'm sure that people didn't click here to listen to us talk about Ryan Reynolds.
They may have. You never know. We have some pretty awesome listeners.
As long as we're not talking about the Green Lantern, I think they'll stay.
I never watched The Green Lantern, but I
Don't
have not
worry
heard
about
great things.
You are not missing anything.
I did watch The Green Hornet, and they say the S word in there a lot.
Mm.
But, like I said, football, let's talk about it. Floyd Mayweather. You know, the boxer, the guy that beat up Manny Pacquiao and
The guy that
won a big fight in
hugged
Vegas.
Manny Pacquiao for 12 rounds and made a lot of money hugging each other.
That's the way I saw it, too. He hugged and danced around. But apparently that's how you win in boxing. I don't watch boxing, so I don't know. That's the only boxing fight I've watched in a long time.
I watch boxing, and that was not boxing.
But apparently he has a gym in San Diego. I believe it's San Diego. I don't know, according to this list. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Let's pretend it's in San Diego.
I want to quote Anchorman so bad right now, but this is a PG show.
Oh, it is Las Vegas. Sorry. In Las Vegas, Nevada. Vikings cornerback, first-round draft pick, Trey Waynes, and running back Melvin Gordon, who fans of the podcast knew that I was very high on Melvin Gordon coming into this draft. If the Vikings were going to take a running back, that is the gentleman I wanted. I saw a lot of Jamal Charles in this gentleman. He's a very athletic player, soft hands, good runner. But these two guys got together and worked out at Floyd Mayweather's gym. Mayweather was not on hand this time, but apparently they're going to work together, and they're going to do some stuff together. So hopefully, Trey Waynes, Melvin Gordon, and Floyd Mayweather will all be able to get together, work together, and kick some butt in the gym.
I always find it interesting to see what athletes work with who in the offseason. It's so cool. I don't know. It's a little nerdy thing. I think it's just so interesting.
The recent trend of NFL players to work out with UFC guys, I think, has really helped the league because it's using different body parts, helping explosiveness and awareness and just all-around agility in a sport that has been focused on speed and power that it's kind of changing the game a little bit. And I'm sure boxing offers a very different skill set as well. But like I said, I don't know much about boxing, but I'm sure that when these three guys get together, there isn't much talk about Van Wilder going on. That's what I know. So today's Tuesday for us. We're recording this Tuesday night. And today, the Minnesota Vikings single game tickets went on sale. So if you weren't a season ticket holder, and yes, I know all you season ticket holders on Facebook and Twitter that were tweeting out and posting pictures of your season tickets saying, got 'em, and everything, yeah, you guys can go take a leap because I don't have that. I want that, but I don't have it. So the single game tickets are coming around. I've been eyeing some of them up. Specifically, I'm still thinking about going to that Kansas City game. That should be a lot of fun. Tickets I guess this year are substantially cheaper than last year, which is strange because I think expectations should be a lot higher, and I think that this team should be able to draw in a much bigger fan base to each live event, despite the fact that it's probably going to be a harsh winter.
Mm-hmm.
But I say, if you got a chance, grab your Minnesota Vikings single game tickets. Otherwise, you're going to have to resort to going to secondhand places like the Ticket Exchange or, God help you, eBay. And you're going to end up paying way too much.
Yeah, actually, it probably would be the smart thing to go ahead and buy your tickets now for him, because you're right, Adam. There's a chance that we could be a sleeper team. And if that happens, you will find ticket prices are going to go way up versus what you'll be able to get them for right now. And it could be a lot tougher if you're going to have a lot more people interested in all of a sudden going to watch the Vikings. So pick them up now. You'll always be able to resell them if you decide not to go.
Absolutely. And there are chances that a team like San Diego could come out of the gate and just have a fantastic showing, and then when the Vikings, if they're doing all right, a showdown between them and the Chargers could pack the house. You never know. You might never know. This next quick hit is, there's a comedian named John Oliver. He used to be on The Daily Show. He was a correspondent on there, and he got his own show on HBO called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And he had a 15, almost 20-minute long segment criticizing how new stadiums are publicly funded, all the crazy riders that come along with them, and how stadiums don't impact the community that they are in as far as jobs or income. It's actually quite a really interesting take.
Well, there's a reason why I'd say he's a comedian. And
well, the thing is that it's all serious news.
Yeah.
But he presents it in a way that is amusing. He talks about the stadium that the Milwaukee Bucks are threatening to leave if they don't get. Talks about the crazy stadiums that they have built down in Florida with aquariums just all the way around the stadium.
Sounds
unnecessary
cool.
stuff. And like how the Cincinnati Bengals have a rider in their contract that if holographic instant replay is ever invented, the city of Cincinnati and the state of Ohio will have to pay for that technology to be implemented in the stadium.
That'd be awesome. I want that in our stadium. We call up Ziggy Wilf and be like, dude, holographs. We want that HoloLens from Microsoft, like, in our stadium.
And there's been enough criticism going around lately about how Minnesota has been having to pay for such a large portion of the stadium in Minnesota. But there are some differences going on between this stadium situation and some of the others. The stadium in Minnesota has already booked the NCAA Final Four. They've already booked a Super Bowl. As far as I know, they're still in talks to host a WrestleMania. These are events that can have a huge impact on the surrounding community and bring in millions, if not billions of dollars. So when you think about the basis of, yeah, stadiums do kind of belong to the team, but this isn't just the Minnesota Vikings Stadium. This is the Minnesota Multipurpose Stadium. This is the U.S. Bank Stadium. There will be many more events than just football being held there. It's going to be nice when it gets built, but I completely understood where John Oliver comes from. I had the chance to see him do some stand-up here in Michigan, up in Houghton, at a college up here. As a matter of fact, it's the same college that Joe Berger attended, which that's a nice little plug there. But he really had a great set, and he's a comedian that I really respect, and he approached this topic, which is very controversial, in a way that's very matter-of-fact, yet informative and funny. If you have a chance, head on over to the Viking Age. I wrote an article about it, and I included the whole segment where he talked about this. Check it out if you get a chance. And if you're interested, of course. If you don't give a crap, don't go, you know.
I can't disagree with them anymore. I respect what you said. After watching that show for many years, how you can take a twist on things, and they like to make light of a lot of the situations, but there's a reason why so many teams every year just take the Super Bowl. We don't have to go anywhere else. There's a reason why people fight and tooth and nail to get votes to have Super Bowls. You get so much recognition for your town. Every time they mention the Super Bowl, they're going to mention your city. how many people are going to be there. Cab fares are going to go up. Restaurants are going to be booming. It's for one night only, which is, probably a week in advance. They're going to make so much money. I don't understand. That's just for one game. Mm-hmm. Not only for the team.
It's more than one game. It's a week-long event because I just actually had class reunion, and I got one of my friends who lives out in Arizona who was out there when they had the Super Bowl a few years back. And it is not just like, oh, hey, it's Super Bowl Sunday. It is an entire week's worth, if not more, worth of stuff and events and build-up that go into it, and all of the other people that try to capitalize on it by selling this and that and the other thing. It really is a huge economic boom for the city that gets to hold it.
Yeah, but like I said it earlier, John Oliver didn't talk about the stadium in Minnesota, even though it has such a high percentage of public funding because of a lot of those factors. Instead, he went after areas like the Milwaukee Bucks, like I said, that are threatening to leave. And if the Bucks do build a new basketball court, Milwaukee isn't quite. It's a big city, don't get me wrong, mm-hmm. But I don't think the Bucks will be hosting as many events as will be held at the massive new stadium in Minnesota.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but until another stadium is built after this one next year, I'm willing to say we're going to have the nicest and one of the biggest stadiums in the NFL. Have you seen how many restaurants and how many concession stands are going to be there? Cleanup is going to. There's so many jobs to be had there. I can't understand this statement. I mean, I can try to.
Well, the thing is, like I said, it's a broad statement. It isn't specifically pointed at the Vikings because the Vikings are doing an upgrade, so they're going to need extra security and food people and stuff like that. This is for teams that just beg for a new stadium, threatening to move, and put all these crazy riders in their contracts in order to get them. And there's a reason why he didn't include Minnesota in the list is because of those other factors.
I guess. I like the challenge on it, but just with the way the technology in the future is going, I don't know. But I guess I can see the point a little better now if you're thinking about somebody like the Bucks or maybe go out to Oakland.
Oh. I'm still stuck on that holograph stuff. Like, I want holographic instant replay. Come on, guys.
That's got to happen, right?
Yeah. Can't we get like the HoloLens out there or something?
Let's skip over this next information really quick. Donovan McNabb got a DUI. There's a video of him on TMZ trying to talk his way out.
Did you hear his statement that he said?
It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. I don't have it in front of me,
Oh, Jesus, neither do I, because I didn't really know we were going to talk about Donovan McNabb. I should have had it out, though. It was the funniest...
Hey, you had the notes just like I did.
Yeah, I know, but I don't read. I don't plan forward. You should know that. It was really... I was
elected to lead, not to read.
Exactly. It was really funny because it was the way he said it. It didn't even sound like he was talking about himself. It was just really bizarre. You guys just gotta check it and read it for yourself.
I have nothing to say but chunky soup. That's it.
You gotta love the chunky soup. I bet his mama isn't too proud of this one. That's what I gotta say
she might be. You never know. I don't know Donovan's mom.
But if I read the report correctly, because I saw it at work today, this isn't the first time he's gotten a DUI.
No.
So you have to think about it from the other player's standpoint too. Like you played for a while. I'm sure you have NFL money. You had endorsements like we were just making fun of. But you got a job now. And I think he's going to be on like a permanent leave of absence until he gets this figured out.
Yeah.
Here's the statement that he released, by the way, on his own radio show.
Oh, this is good.
He said, and I quote, "There was a story that was released, and I want everybody to be cognizant of it, because I am very aware of it, handling the matter at this particular point. But at this point, I have no further information, and as we continue on with the situation, then we'll let it handle as it will handle itself."
That is such an awesome statement. I think he was a little tipsy when he wrote that.
I was about to say, did he write this on a napkin in jail?
Yeah. He was.
That's fantastic.
He was hungover from the DUI when he wrote that one.
Oh.
McNabb is a chapter in Vikings history that
Let's just
many fans would like to forget.
Yeah. Oh,
just kind of erase that a little bit. But McNabb did have a great career when he was in Philly. Things didn't go so great for him when he went to Washington, and things in Minnesota didn't work out well. But he's still one of those guys that does have that great history on the field. And I understand a little bit of what Don McNabb's going on. I personally, I had gotten a couple drunk drivings in my past, but now I've turned my life around completely. I'm going on 3 years sober. That's something that I might not have ever had if I hadn't have gotten in trouble with the police and the law those other couple times. So I do thank them for that. At the time, I hated them. I hated the police for that. I did. But now I completely understand it, how I was putting everyone's life in danger, including my own. And I hope that McNabb gets us all together because there really is no reason to be drinking and driving.
Very well
There
said.
sad day. That's yeah. There's nothing else to say about that. You hit every nail on the head there.
Yeah, it's not something I'm proud of. It's something that happened in my past, but it's helped me learn and become a better person. And luckily, nothing bad happened during that time in my life that was really dark.
Right.
And I don't know how dark times are right now for Donovan, but I hope that whatever's going on, he can pull his way through it. Or if he was just partying too hard, he's got to start making that decision not to get behind the wheel of a vehicle. It's just the way it is. You can't do it. All right, so the Minnesota Vikings ranked 18th in the NFL in fan equity. And I can hear you guys right now kind of saying, what the hell's what's fan equity?
That was my next question.
So here's the quote on how they determine fan equity. In terms of the nuts and bolts of what we are about to present, we use 15 years of data on NFL team performance, ticket prices, market populations, median incomes, win-loss records, and multiple other factors to create statistical models of box office revenue. Then we see which teams over and underperform the model's predictions.
Okay.
Go on.
So, in essence, the reason why the Vikings aren't very high on this list is because, surprise, surprise, they haven't won a Super Bowl lately. Yeah, I know the Vikings have been struggling and things have been kind of weird, but for me, measuring the passion of a fan base or how much a fan base respects and loves a team by how much money they spend when things are good or bad isn't quite a good way to measure anything.
This reminds me of like career mode in Madden. You know, where you have like at the end of the season, like it ranks your team revenue and all your fan stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly what what you just read sounded exactly like that.
Absolutely. It's pretty much essentially what it is.
Yeah, and I don't really know if you can measure. Like, that's a bunch of stuff that they've measured, but I don't know if that really equals how happy we are as fans in Minnesota. Like, really? I don't.
Makes total sense.
I don't know.
There are
Total
two
sense.
NFC North teams in the top 10.
Green Bay.
Both Chicago and Green Bay, number 6 and number
Right.
7.
I have a couple Bears friends, and they're never happy with Jay Cutler.
And the Detroit Lions
Yeah.
were number 25.
Who was the
Oh.
last team?
The last place team
Who are the unhappiest fans? It has to be like what?
was the Miami
Cleveland?
Dolphins, was last place.
Oh gosh.
The last 5 teams were the Bills, Jaguars, Raiders, Browns, and Miami Dolphins. And all of those teams have something major in common.
They all
They
suck.
have struggled mightily in the past.
They have no quarterback.
Well, maybe
maybe-
not all of them
maybe.
anymore, but
Who was number?
still, like I
well,
said.
since we're here, who was number 1?
Well, think about it. What fan base is the biggest
Oh,
and spends the
Jesus.
most money?
Probably Seattle.
The Dallas Cowboys.
See, I was gonna say Dallas. I was going to, just based on the amount of money that Jerry Jones, but Seattle's such a passionate fan base.
I don't.
I would have guessed
believe
New England
Seattle.
or Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
New England is number 2. Pittsburgh, I don't have the full list in front of me, but
You don't have it memorized?
no. I
Adam.
wrote the article about a week ago, actually. Well, 4 days ago now, but still. But yeah, I don't agree with ranking teams based on the amount of money that their fans spend.
That's weird.
I think that one of the things that helped
thing.
boost the Vikings up the list was that they always sell out the stadium. Always. And that's good. Speaking of stadiums.
Hey, it caught on fire.
It did. But it turns out that it's no big deal, I guess. The Mortensen construction crew said that the fire started when a welding torch ignited some nearby insulation.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't climb over the fence and take photos. Because it is a construction zone, and stuff.
It is.
Dangerous stuff is around everywhere.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to hear that was nothing major, and if you heard the stories about the smoke coming from the new stadium, it wasn't because they elected a new pope.
Brett Favre. Brett Favre
Yes.
showing up, so we got the smoke coming out of Winter Park.
It was because of an insulation fire that was started by a welding torch.
Hey, can I do the segue for the next one, Adam?
Absolutely.
Speaking of fire, Jeff Locke failed to appear in expert ranking of NFL's top 32 punters. Hey, guess what else? It's Tuesday. You know what's available on DVD starting today? Speaking of segues, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
It is.
Yeah.
Maggie is also available on DVD. Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's a zombie movie. You gotta check it out.
I'm going to download that. That was in my notes. Side note, I would like to let everybody listening know, I asked the guys earlier today what their favorite current player is, because I might send them a gift. Kyle, you're getting a Jeff Locke shirt.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute, am I getting a Chigbo Anumbi shirt?
No, you know what? Jeff Locke will be full price because he's active. I will find you an old Ponder or McNabb or Webb shirt for a discount. How does that sound?
There you go.
I have a Chris Cluey jersey. I have no problem wearing a punter's jersey, but Jeff Locke, no.
Yeah, that ranking of Jeff Locke was done by Bleacher Report NFL writer Matt Miller. So I know a lot of you guys don't take Bleacher Report very seriously, but
Bleacher Report, hashtag.
They're actually a fairly decent organization. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. And
feel
Matt
like they've
Miller is
gotten
one of
better.
those guys that is very willing to express his.
Don't you feel like they've gotten better over the years, Adam?
I think so.
They-
At first it was
Yes, it
kind
was.
of humorous, some of the stuff they do. But they've taken a more professional approach lately, and I think they've gotten quite a bit better. Significantly, actually.
I do like the app coming from the last 2 years since I've had it. More interviews and more. I love the analysis. Now they actually look like they're out of a studio most of the time, especially when they talk about the Vikings. There's always two guys just sitting at a round table. It should be three guys, and it should be us.
That's true.
Okay, legitimate question about this. 32 teams in the NFL,
Yep.
32 punters in the NFL.
Yep.
How was he not in the top 32? Is there some team with two punters out there?
There are teams with better backup punters, according to him.
Teams
yes.
have backup punters? Holy shit.
They do.
Who?
The Raiders always carry a backup punter.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Pro Football Focus had him ranked as the 37th best punter this year.
Wow.
And the year before, he was number 40.
Oh.
Wow.
So he's getting better, guys.
Jeff Locke gets no love.
He's getting
wow.
better. He's gone up 3 spots.
You should look up and find out where Chris Cluey was ranked in the last season that he played with the Vikings.
Man, when we do donkeys next year, let's go back to
Let's
this
just rename it the Jeff Locke Award.
Oh,
Kyle West last year handed out quite a few donkey awards to Jeff Locke.
This is so bad.
Mine ended up along the offensive line, but I think once mine did go to Jeff Locke as well.
Oh, so funny.
Not good at all.
He's a nice guy. I hope.
37.
37th among the 32 teams. Yep. Now the Minnesota Vikings did make some changes to their medical staff as well. According to USA Today, is Tom Pelissero. The new lead physician for the team will be Dr. Chris Larson after the team's contract with TRIA, I think it's pronounced, I don't know, has expired. He will join a couple other specialists,
Eric Sugarman,
including Dr. Chris Larson and Dr. Sheldon Burns. Sugarman is the trainer, I believe.
Oh, okay. I thought he was. Well, I don't really know. I thought he was like medical, but.
So I don't believe Sugarman went anywhere.
Well, that's good.
But those changes should be pretty good. The new medical lead professional, Dr. Chris Larson, is a specialist in knees. He had worked with Adrian Peterson prior to his knee injury, his torn ACL. So at least there's some history there. And hopefully won't have to hear very much about these guys this season.
Eric Sugarman is the Vikings' head athletic trainer.
Yep.
There you go.
That's what I said.
I'm just confirming it. I looked it up really quick.
You jerk. Okay, let's go into our main topic because I am particularly proud of this one. Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway. We can never say enough good stuff about this guy, can we?
Nope.
In a recent article on the CBS local website in Minnesota, during the last days of Greenway's Data Reach football camp, he presented the family of a young boy that was in a horrible automobile accident with a handicap accessible van for the child's family. It's absolutely amazing because following the accident, doctors gave this boy a 5% chance to survive. In conjunction with J. Malone Motors, Chad Greenway and his organization was able to help out this family and get them a vehicle so they could transport him to the hospital when needed, and so that they could take care of things without having to try to figure out how to make ends meet. This was a family that didn't have a lot of money and probably would not have been able to get this any other way. And if you listen to the Purple for the Win podcast, which is an excellent podcast, I've been on there before, Chad Greenway was on there, and he hinted that this was going to happen at his camp. And it was a fantastic thing for him to do. Like I said, major props to him and J. Malone Motors for making this happen. I know it's just one family and one individual family, but stuff like that makes a massive difference. And it's not like this is an isolated incident either. Chad Greenway has Chad's Lockers, and he does the Tender Heart Luncheon for mothers of children with disabilities. He does the Field of Dreams stuff, where he presents vacations and sports wishes to kids with serious illnesses. This is a guy that his Lead the Way Foundation does fantastic things for kids and the community. And although sometimes he's criticized for missing tackles on the field, he's one hell of a guy. He's got one hell of a heart, and he should be commended.
It's always the negative stuff in the media that gets me angry that I always see. And you never get to hear about this stuff, but by God, on the Purple People podcast, this will be our main topic.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad he's still here. I'm glad he didn't hang it up, because who knows? He might have a job like, was it E.J. Henderson? Now he's hanging out with us. So Ben Lieber's got a job with the Vikings after. I'm sure Chad could be one of the guys that doesn't. He strikes me as a guy like that who might do a job after. But he's still on the team, still making good strides. And I don't want to hint too much negativity because I don't want to take anything away from him. But we had a lot of drama offseason this year. It's good to see positive stuff associated with our names. I love
Absolutely.
it.
I love Chad. He always goes above and beyond the Call of Duty on stuff like that, where most players are fine with, donate some money to a charity once or twice a year. Chad is one that you can just tell that he really cares about people.
Yeah.
And that's why that he would go out and do something like this. Like, it's not just a tax write-off for him at the end of the year like it probably is for some of these other guys. Like, he cares, and it's a really big part of the community, and I'm a huge Chad Greenway fan. I'm proud of him.
As far as Greenway taking a job outside of the NFL when he's done, I doubt that'll happen immediately. I think he's going to take some time off to be with his family because he's got kids that are growing up.
He's going to go back on the farm. Like, that's Chad Greenway. That's what he's going to go do.
It is. It's exactly what he's going to do. He is that guy, which absolutely is amazing. I'm happy to say that I wear his jersey proudly on game day.
He will be
he's
back.
One of the guys.
I believe that he'll be back around the team, like after he retires. He'll
Yes.
be one of those ones that Mike Zimmer will have come back at training camp to come talk to the guys, and he'll show up on Paul Allen's radio show, and like you'll see him continually be in Minnesota, I believe.
For sure.
Mhm.
And I hope that's true. I really do. And I wish that there was more we could say about this and more about what he does. But I think most Vikings fans already know how much Chad Greenway does. So we don't need to sit and harp on this.
Mhm.
Greenway himself, although he does this great stuff, he doesn't see himself as being any kind of hero for doing it. He's just doing what he can for the community. And that in itself is awesome, too. To have someone so selfless and humble. So thanks again, Chad Greenway. And I hope that the family gets great use out of that vehicle. And I hope that things improve for that child that was in the horrible accident. It's just amazing to hear great things
Mhm.
like that. It is. But let's move into our social media question.
This is a fun one. I can't wait for this one. I really want to know what you guys picked.
If all the NFL's players were put into a pool today, and the Vikings had the number 1 overall pick to select any of them, who would you choose and why? We got some really interesting answers, some kind of sarcastic ones, but the sarcastic ones can be fun as well. Brandon Ellis says J.J. Watt is the most dominant defender in the game today. Not much debating there, is there?
No.
No,
No.
none whatsoever. He's absolutely unstoppable. And you can put it like any part of the line too, and he's just a force.
Put him on offense, and he's a force.
Corbin Johnson says if he has the number 1 overall pick, he's taking Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that.
And then he changed up his idea and he said he wants Jared Allen in his quarterback,
Yes.
which is great. John Dostal says, me, I broke every record in Madden. Do it, John. Zachary Murphy has the same exact idea I do. Andrew Luck. Incredible talent, even more potential, most important position in the game, and he's what, 25 years old? Exactly. You get him a more stable offensive line in front of him, get him a running game, and he can make magic happen. Andrew Luck is definitely my choice.
He's pretty special. Anybody watch the game with him and the Chiefs last year in playoffs? That man, there was a clinic being brought on in the playoffs. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Troy Thorson
Oh God.
says, I'm going with Tim Tebow. I know everyone's going to think I've lost my mind, but Tebow's a good quarterback that knows how to win if given a chance. He did it in Denver and took a team that was going nowhere, and they made the playoffs and pulled off one of the biggest upsets in NFL history. You'd be getting a great character guy also. There's no debating that.
I'm jumping in right now. Ceasefire. We're taking some shots at you, Troy. Thank you for the input, but I gotta jump in and say, I said, man, if we could have a Tebow debate, if this was the Tim Tebow podcast, I'd jump in. His throwing motion makes me cringe. Although I love his attitude, and I wish everybody had his character. That defense is what took them to the playoffs. Minus one Hail Mary in the playoffs against the Steelers. That was beautiful. Good for you. It wasn't even a Hail Mary, just a really good on-the-money pass to win that game. But you notice what happened the next week when he played the Pats. He got annihilated. So
They were picking apart Ike Turner that whole game. He was having an awful game at cornerback for the Steelers.
a lot of things fell into place for Tim Tebow that year. It's kind of like, if I could use the best comparison a couple years later, remember RG3 had the fantastic year?
Oh, yeah. People were saying that he's the next
had
pocket
a really,
passer
really
that can
good
scramble.
year because he can scramble around. Yeah, I love it. I love Tim Tebow's attitude and the way he is what Johnny Manziel wishes he could be. In a good year, everything going right. It wouldn't happen, but he's bigger. I wish he would have played fullback or tight end. He would be playing for someone somewhere, but couldn't disagree with you more. That's a good idea, though. I did not expect to see Tim Tebow come up.
No. James Frake, Cody Wade, and Joseph Rao all say Andrew Luck. Apparently there's a lot of love for Andrew Luck among Minnesota Vikings fans. It's that pocket passer. It's so appealing, especially when you have a run game. It's just so awesome to see. Meanwhile, you got Rick Jacobson.
Good old Rick.
We love you, Rick.
He says, I'm a firm believer in the phrase defense wins championships, and seeing as how the NFL has become an aerial circus, I'll take Harrison Smith. I see him stepping into the best in the league discussions this season and will be there for most of his career. Excellent question. There are so many correct answers. And someone representing the podcast, I'm going to guess Mr. Smith, says, Rick, you crazy arse. Which non-Viking would you take? To which he replied, Devin Dubnyk.
Fantastic response.
In case you don't know who that is, he is the goalie for the Wild.
Oh, we love you.
I guess Minnesota just runs through his blood, huh?
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's the best answer.
Oh, jeez. Next week's social media question. Who is the one under-the-radar player that the Vikings currently have that you are rooting for to make the roster in 2015? There are several guys. I'm expecting a lot of guys to say Babs, just because the story is so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also Taylor Heineke competing for that quarterback 3 job. We got a lot of young offensive linemen that were drafted. So I'm really curious to see, who do you guys want to see on the roster? Is there that underdog story, like that Adam Thielen that's going to work his way up? You know, fans wanted to see him. Audie Cole also worked his way up. These are guys that fans fell in love with and just wanted to see succeed. Who are those guys this year? Who do you want to see step up? Who do you want to see make the roster?
I have to ask you, I hate to pedal back and forth. You said Andrew Luck. Mr. West, who, with all the players put into a pool, and we have the number 1 overall pick, who are you taking?
Well, I think I tipped my hat last week, but I'm a huge J.J. Watt fan. Like, he is hands down the best defensive player in the NFL. And one of, I think, the most talented players, regardless of position, in the NFL playing today, period. We joked a little bit about how you could play him on offense as well as defense, but I mean, you could play him legitimately on offense as well, and he would dominate. Like, you could probably switch him to a tight end, and he'd be the top tight end in the NFL, like, if he was to put the time and effort in to do that.
We showed so much love for Watt last year, especially during our MVP debates.
Oh, I know. I just absolutely love J.J. Watt. And yeah, I mean, I was tempted to go with it being a passing league that you would want a big-time wide receiver, someone like Megatron or A.J. Green, you know, someone who can really be your go-to, blow-the-top-off defenses kind of wide receiver. But, man, I can't pick against J.J. Watt because he's just such a dominant player out there.
Did you see the picture of J.J. Watt with Jennifer Aniston?
I did.
That was awesome.
I did.
I love how he tried to say, yep, I can't even say I acted cool.
No.
And I love how down-to-earth he is, too.
Yeah, he's one of those hard-nosed guys that does a lot for the community and stuff like that. He is essentially another guy like Chad Greenway, just a hard-nosed guy with a warm heart. And those are the kind of guys that you want on your football team.
I mean, if we could trade Adrian Peterson for J.J. Watt, would you do that? Yeah, I'd do that.
Yep. Yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, I would.
And I love Adrian.
AP. We're back on the AP hype train, and all the rest of that is behind us now. So yeah, I love us some AP, but I'd trade him for JJ. I wanted to tell
you guys, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there. It's if you had to ask consensus-wise, it's either going to be a quarterback or J.J. Watt. I would have went with Aaron Rodgers. I know everyone light me on fire. I'm the enemy. He's the best quarterback in the league. I live in reality. Sorry, you don't win the MVP because you're bad.
I gotta admit, Rodgers was on my list, but it's the youth that Andrew Luck has that was the tipping point for me.
But you know what? I'm not picking either one of those. And if you asked me 7 different times out of all 7 days of the week, I'd have a different answer every day. But anybody want to take a guess at who I would do it? Because this is legitimate. I thought about this all day at work, what I was going to pick for this.
Vlad Dukas.
Yes. Instantly, yes. No.
He's the face of the Vikings.
He's on Teddy Bridgewater's team. I would take Rob Gronkowski. in a
Interesting.
heartbeat. Think about if we kept the roster we have. If you want to play Homer, I'm sticking with my faithfuls here. Have faith in Teddy Bridgewater all the way. AP is back. We've got a decent, not a stellar, a decent wide receiver core all the way around. And you remember what the Pats used to do? They've been doing, ever since Hernandez left. Not so much, but they had the 2 tight end set, just 2 really badass tight ends. Can you imagine him and a healthy Kyle Rudolph?
If we were drafting for the team we have now, if we got to keep all the players we have right now, my choice would be vastly different. As a matter of fact, I would probably choose Cam Chancellor.
Ooh, good choice. That's the approach I had. You could change out any player right now on our roster if you wanted to take and swap out or cut someone or what trade. I don't care. But I would love to have Gronk on the team. That man is a monster, and he will give you 100%.
Here's my
even
question.
with a knee brace and elbow brace.
Could you imagine Harrison Smith and Cam Chancellor? Oh my God.
Whew.
Okay, here's my question. Would you trade flat up Kyle Rudolph for Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's no offense to Kyle Rudolph. I think Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end in the game.
I'm going to say no because they're both injury prone. They both have their problems. But Gronkowski's contract is just too massive.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say no for a different set of reasons, Adam, because I believe that Kyle Rudolph is going to stay healthy this season.
I hope
He's going to benefit from having, a year 2 underneath North Turner's offense, and he's really going to come out and be that player that we are expecting for him this year.
I hope so too. But luckily, if that doesn't happen, Minnesota has such a interesting and talented group of young tight ends underneath him that could step up and play, that they have that insurance now. They got Chase Ford. They got the rookie that they drafted.
What if... God, here's another what-if question, Adam.
You're loving what if,
I am. What if he does get hurt again? He's looking good, but he gets hurt, and he's got to sit out. He goes on IR. The tight ends underneath him not only fill in and go, they filled in, but they fill in and they look good.
Right, Chase Ford looked good last year.
If you're Rick Spielman, do you trade him? Do you trade Kyle Rudolph? Do you fleece the Cleveland Browns and go,
try.
Here, get rid of him? I mean, who knows?
You open yourself up to offers, you do.
I can't predict the future.
Possibility.
I don't want that to happen. I want him to succeed in Minnesota, though.
It's like the rule. Every player in the NFL could be traded for. Any of them. As long as the right deal was on the table.
Right deal, right team, right time, right place.
I mean, sure, the Green Bay Packers, they're not going to want to let go of Aaron Rodgers. You dangle 5 first-rounders in their face, they'll let him go.
Well, would you have ever thought that Peyton Manning would not be an Indianapolis Colt?
I thought he'd end his career there.
Yeah,
I did.
me too. But I mean, look.
I thought Favre would end in Green Bay. I thought... Oh, so many. I thought Montana would end in San Fran. All these weird quarterbacks that take these bounces after their successful careers. I know it's hard to hold on to an aging quarterback and pay him the amount of money that they used to be worth. That's why I'm kind of glad that the Vikings have a young quarterback that now they aren't paying a lot to, and they won't be paying a lot for the next couple years, so they can build a quick team here, the way that Seattle did around Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be really interesting to see how that works out. So let's go into the bold statement. You got one this week, Mr. Smith?
I do. It's sort of a bold question.
What?
In some sense, but I'll get to that. My bold statement is going to have Adam will get this. I believe it's an SEO. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You're going to have 2 words. That's going to be the first 2, and it's Jay Cutler. And everybody's going to say, what? Why Jay Cutler?
Trade Teddy Bridgewater for Jay Cutler.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Remember when people wanted that to happen?
Oh.
No, I don't. Thankfully, I slept.
Yeah, and like I said last week for other people about AP, their faces are on milk cartons now, especially after the month of December that Teddy had. Jay Cutler. Get out of here. That's funny, though. So what does Jay Cutler have to do with my bold statement this week? I'm actually in the process of joining Adam with the Viking Age to write an article, and this is going to be something I'm going to spin into an article at some point. For this year, the playoffs and the Vikings, what does it mean for them? What does it hold, and what does it mean for the rest of the division? I live in a logical realm of reality, and if Green Bay Packers have a guy named Aaron Rodgers, they're going to win the division 9 times out of 10. I believe that we are very close. I believe the game last year in Minnesota we should have won. Teddy, he kind of game managed that game. Maybe he was nervous. He definitely got better as the season went on, but I digress. I'm going to pencil in the Green Bay Packers to win the division one last year before Teddy completely takes over. We have a new stadium behind us, and we have a new fire and a new attitude and just a whole new breath of life.
Probably shouldn't
and we
use the word fire.
No.
Oh, okay, excuse me. Touche on that. But we have this whole new attitude about us next year. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt one more year. Aaron Rodgers is still in his prime. But there's always a wild card spot. Detroit took that last year. I'm going to keep it short and simple. I don't believe they're going to take that this year. I believe we are. That leaves them and Chicago fighting for 4th place. Detroit, I believe, is better all around. They have a better coach. I believe they're in a better situation. Chicago's kind of in the rebuild phase. They've got an old defense. Jay Cutler's getting paid way too much money. Now, back to what I said to round this all out. The Vikings, I have wholeheartedly and believe, and when we get closer to the beginning of the season here very shortly, I'm going to give you my prediction of what we're going to do. But I'm going to tease you all now and say we're going to steal a wild card spot this year, much like we did a couple of years ago. And you're going to see the last of Jay Cutler in a Chicago Bear uniform because they're going to come in last place in this division again. I think the competition's too stiff for them. And I think because the Vikings are on the rise and we're going to make such an impression this year, thanks to Adrian Peterson being back and having a whole nother year with this coaching staff, Jay Cutler, goodbye, Chicago Bears. Boom.
New coaching staff as well. I don't know.
That's true.
If you notice that, too, John Fox has had really good success in both the other teams that he coached. Now, granted, he did have Peyton Manning when he went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but he came out and openly said, this is open camp. I don't care how much you paid him. Whoever's best quarterback's going to play. I love it. I think that's how it should be everywhere. But they paid that dude way too much money. For what reason, I don't know. I kind of get it. Who else is better than him out there? But, man, I think we all missed our calling. We should have been a quarterback because they get paid.
I still think they made the wrong decision. I think they should have kept McCollum, drafted a quarterback, and then they'd probably still have Brandon Marshall. They would have had to have used a draft pick on a wide receiver that's almost exactly like Brandon Marshall.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You lose Brandon Marshall, you pick up Kevin White. That's a good replacement. Maybe take a year or two for him to get to his level, but I don't see it happening. And I have nothing but respect for the teams. I think we have the second hardest division in football. I respect the other teams in the division, but I do believe this is the year that the Vikings go back to the playoffs. Losing to Ndamukong Suh for Detroit, not a good look for them. I don't know. I love Matt Stafford's arm. I just don't have the ability, and I don't have faith in the ability that he plays. They do have a good coach, though, so that leaves them being kind of a risk to take our wild card spot again. But
being a quarterback is easy when you can just toss the ball up to Calvin Johnson.
Oh, God. Yeah. And he was going to be one of my picks, too. If you can draft anybody, you need receiver help. How do you not pick him or Des Bryant? That was a hard choice.
I wouldn't want Des Bryant. I'm going to say that right. He's a talented guy, total basket case. I'd take A.J. Green over top of Des Bryant.
And the talk of the love for Julio Jones sure quieted down recently.
I do love some Julio Jones, but he's just got to stay healthy and make sure his mind is into it as well.
That's all I have for this week. Do you guys have anything else?
Time to plug it. Hit us up on Facebook. Thank you guys for all the interaction. Thanks for being patient with us every week. We try not to be long-winded, but every time we say that, it ends up happening.
Yeah, this is going to be a short show an hour later.
All right. I would like to say one more thing, though.
Go ahead.
We are considering on starting a GoFundMe or Kickstarter to help fund our Podomatic so that we can have a wider ability to be able to host podcasts, because we've ran into the problem recently where we use too much bandwidth and we're not able to provide shows for people on Stitcher or iTunes or other plans like that. And right now I'm just trying to gauge a little bit of the interest for that to see what's out there. And sure, we could pay for it ourselves. We probably could. But I think that there would be some kind of real love to having a show that's funded by Vikings fans for Vikings fans. And I'm just kind of curious to see if that kind of interest is out there, if anyone would be willing to take on that. If not, that's cool. We're not asking for handouts or anything. It's just if you enjoy the show and it's something that you might be interested in contributing to, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
We've had several inquiries, like Adam said, about iTunes and why they can't find us on the podcast. We just keep going over, and we try to limit it, but you guys obviously like the show. You keep coming back, so thank you for liking the show.
Absolutely.
And like he said, I hate to double tap, but we are not begging you or asking you to fund this if you don't want to. If you feel the need, we're going to try it out and see what happens, because YouTube is fantastic. Facebook is great, but iTunes is a whole nother beast, and we would love to keep it going there like we can, but we get a little long-winded sometimes.
Absolutely. So that's what I wanted to say. Do you have anything that you want to plug besides Deadpool there, Mr. West?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I've got it.
No
I've got it
Batman
covered.
v Superman?
That trailer was awesome.
Oh, it was horrible.
Oh, it was awesome. Come on. There was
No.
there was the part where it showed Bruce Wayne during the fight scene between Superman and Zod, where you see them with like shooting the laser vision through the building that goes down, and you see Bruce Wayne freaking running through that big dust cloud to get to that little girl. That's awesome.
Now you talk about Ash versus the Evil Dead, and talk about that trailer, and then we're talking.
That was great too. That was probably the best thing to come out of Comic-Con this year.
If you like The Walking Dead, head on over, check me out on Undead Walking. A lot of stuff going on there. We just had the Comic-Con trailer drop there. Really excited for all that. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook, at Purple People Pod on Twitter. We are on iTunes and Stitcher when we're available. If those are down, be sure to head on over and check us out on YouTube. I do post up the podcast each week on the Facebook page, so check it out there if you can too. And in the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.